All right, so a lot of people have asked me to do a video on my Lightroom workflow. This is a few photos from New York City for an elopement that we shot. So there's some street photography, documentary photography, along with some cityscapes. And I think you'll really enjoy the images that I'm going to show you and how I actually go through and edit these images using the presets that I've created. I will leave a link below for these. And for now, if you want to save $10 on my presets, the promo code is Christmas, so go check those out on my website, and we're gonna hop right in. I do like to use this tool here for editing. It's made my life a lot easier. I used to use the Loop Deck, which was $300, and this was only $40 on Amazon. I'll also leave it linked below, and you can see how I work with that as well. So this little tool actually helps me scroll through quickly to the images that I want to get to, and it's just a really nice tool to have. And just with a click of a button, I can actually increase, decrease everything that I want to, and I can scroll through, as you see on the right side of the screen, my highlights, contrast, anything that I want. And this just makes my life a lot easier for my editing workflow. And yeah, it's just a really nice tool. $40, you can't beat it. All right, so what I want to start off with is a few of my presets so you can kind of see what those look like. I would like to start off with Finessa, which is probably one of my favorites, and we're going to adjust just a few things here. Obviously exposure needs to be up and our highlights need to be pulled down so we can get the helmet back from those highlights, and we can see a before and after here, and we're already looking a lot better. I do want to show you how I use the point color tool. So if we want to get this guy's color back, we just click on his shirt and then move his shirt color around until we get it to our desired color, and I like that a lot. And also I'm going to do the same here for the helmet and give it a little bit more yellow where it was before, and that's looking pretty good. I'm going to cool it down just ever so slightly by using the temperature, and I really like this image. Now what I do a lot of times is that I try to make everything correct in camera to make my life a lot easier whenever I'm editing. So that's something to keep in mind. Presets don't fix everything, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand. You have to do all the work on your side correctly in camera and also within Lightroom. So not a fix for everything. This next image I shot specifically to do a high contrast black and white photo. So we're going to use my preset Mono Windmill, which I love so much, and it's just really contrasty. The highlights are kind of blown out a bit, and that's kind of a style that a lot of people like nowadays. I'm one of those people, so it's just really nice already straight out of the box. So I like that a lot, and yeah, I don't want to do anything else to this image. So I like this image a lot. I subframe quite often, which means that I frame up a subject using something else within the environment, and this helps my photography quite often because it makes things so much more interesting that wouldn't be as interesting without that. So obviously our skater is subframed here, and we're going to hop in and we're going to use arches this time. I like this one because it gives us a nice platform to begin with, and we'll boost the exposure a little bit because it was underexposed slightly. We're going to pull the cools down a little bit on the temp, and I think that's already looking really good. We're going to boost the shadows a bit. And for our guy here, actually, let's bring the exposure down a little bit, and if we click people, it says no people found. So let's brush him out real quick. A bit more. So we're going to give him a little exposure, just like that. And let's see how that's looking. That's already looking really great. Let's see a before and after here. I like that a lot. Yes, so we're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep moving on. I love this photo just because of the honesty of it, and I really do like Modo. It's a really nice platform as well. We're gonna pull the contrast down a little bit, although it offers a higher contrast. And then we're gonna pull the exposure down and the highlights as well. And our skin tones, as you can see, are a little more orange than they typically would be. So we're going to go back to point color, and we're going to grab this and just pull it down just ever so slightly. I think that's a lot more of a natural type look, in my opinion. I really like all the lights that are going everywhere, this little umbrella in the back that has some really nice color to it. And let's boost the shadows just ever so slightly so we can get some more of this guy's jacket. And I like where that's at. Very nice. Alright, up next. I like this one a lot, and I think it deserves a ginkgo, one of my favorites that I've created. And we're going to pull the contrast, give some exposure, and our blues aren't my favorite in this one, so we're going to desaturate the blues quite a bit and see how that fares. So pull that saturation down just a little bit, and I'm actually going to pop over and use my tool here. Pull the highlights down, exposure, and I do want it to be a little warmer, and I like that a lot. And I have it set up where I can click 5 stars for this, or 0, but we're going to go 5. Oops. There we go. And then on to the next one. I like Finesse a lot, although it is kind of moody and hard to edit at times. We're going to give it some warmth. And then adjust the tint and exposure. I'm actually going to pull some more greens into this, and I think that looks pretty cool. I really like this photo. This was the elopement that we were doing in New York, and I like the subframe, the foreground of the patron we have here playing chess, who he wasn't playing with anybody, unfortunately. I wish he would have been, but it really reminds me of a Pixar movie. And yes, I love this photo, and we're going to go with Finesse here, and we're going to do some adjustments. So we're going to give some more exposure, pull the contrast down ever so slightly, bring the shadows down, highlights down, exposure down, and maybe a little cooler. Let's see what before and after is looking like right now. I think it's looking pretty good. Our blues are very blue, so we're going to desaturate our blues because that happens quite often. And then in luminance, we're going to actually push it a little bit more to make it a little whiter than we had before. And I think this is looking great already, in my opinion. Alright, let's move on to the next one. I love this photo because it's the shadow of the couple, and we have the flowers dead center here. And to reset this image, and I'm going to choose Glack, which is actually made for one of my friends, Patrick Glackmeyer, because he shoots very warm tone things, and I just wanted to do something to pay homage to him and his editing style. So that's what I wanted to do for this one. I really like contrasty images. If you know any of my work, you know that. So we're going to pull the shadows down a bit and the highlights down a bit and bring back the exposure. And I think this right here is looking really nice. You just want to make sure that nothing's really blown out. So you can see the dress is still exposed correctly. We have some blues here in the shadows that we're going to get rid of by desaturating the blues and boosting the luminance. And just like that, it's looking pretty great compared to what it was before. Amazing. I love that. Here's another sub-framing technique. I was photographing this through a food truck that they were attending, and they just wanted a lot of environmental portraits, and that's what we did here. We're going to go with Finesse right here and try to bring back some of these muffins that we have in the foreground. And I'm actually going to give a mask here, the gradient mask, to bring these in a bit, and we're going to boost that. That's nice. And then expose some more, pull some highlights, and in my opinion, we're already on a good track here. We got these blues from the building, which is perfectly fine, but they do bother me a little bit, and sometimes I find them distracting. So we're going to pull this saturation down on the blue again, and the aqua as well, because there's a little bit of that in there. We're going to boost that up slightly, and this would be a final image for me. And another trick or tip that I would like to do is called batch editing. So if I wanted to, let's say, edit these 3 images the same, I would just hold down Shift, click, and then synchronize, and then we're going to get all of them the same edit. Now keep in mind, all photos are different because the exposure is not the same. So the next one may be overexposed compared to the last one, as you see. And what we'll have to do is obviously just fix that exposure. And I wouldn't mind doing a radial gradient here. So our couple is going to be nice and bright compared to our foreground of our guy putting on signs and advertisements. And then I'll pull down this exposure a bit and they pop very well there. And yes, I love this already. And I'm actually going to get rid of some of this white on the right side here. And we're going to do that by adding one more mask, a linear gradient. And we're going to pull that in here and we're going to expose it downward. So I think right there, that frames our subjects very well. And this is a technique that anybody can use. Same with the next photo. We're sub-framed here, perfectly in the square. We know we're in New York City. That's a really big deal because it's nice to know where you are whenever you're photographing something. And we're going to pull that exposure down a little bit because it's not going to be the same as the previous image. Always remember that. And we're going to pull the shadows down a little bit. And in my opinion, that's looking really great. So let's try another preset here. I want this one to be black and white. I photographed this with black and white in mind, and I like how this is. It's not perfect by any means, but it is moody, and that's what they wanted, and that's what they're getting. Pulled the blacks, pulled the shadows, made it a little bit darker, give it some highlight, and the whites are nice and white. I like the bicycle here in the background with the stripes on the road. We go to the next one. They wanted this one to be out of focus and black and white as well, so we're going to hop over to black and white and just give it that nice little punch of contrast, and that's already done just like that. Let's get ginkgo. That's one of my favorites, and we're already set up with a great image. As long as you expose correctly, usually it's really easy to use these presets. And I'm going to pull down the exposure just a little bit and the temperature a little bit, and as you can see, we're getting blue in the dress again. So we're going to desaturate the blue a little bit, and then, desaturate and add luminance, sorry. And I think we look a lot better already. It's very nice. And let's just for fun copy this one, and then paste it to the next one, Command V. Not so great, but we're going to try to work with it. We're going to pull the greens. As you can see, we have pink here, and it's not awesome. Boost the exposure a bit. In my mind, her grandfather was kind of known for training pigeons, so I wanted to bring pigeons into the frame somehow. So I decided to lay down on the ground and photograph them up so I could have the pigeons and the lights from New York in the frame, as well as them holding hands to signify their marriage. So that's what this photo is about. And yeah, I like this photo a lot. This is my wife actually helping with the dress. They brought their child with them, and it was a great time, but they just wanted that grungy New York look. As you can see, her dress is filthy. It is just destroyed from the streets, but that's okay because that's what she wanted. We're going to go with Vanessa. Actually, let's go with First Snow Cap here, and that's a little bluer of an image, but we can easily fix that by brightening it up a bit and giving it some warmth. I like that a lot already. And honestly, I'm not going to do anything else to that. I will copy it and see if it works well on the next one. I put the baby in the foreground just to remind them that she was there, and whenever she gets older, she'll see these images, and I'm sure she will love them as well. So I'm going to pull the temperature down a little bit. We're getting some blue casting on our white. One way is to get proper auto white balance is to grab this dropper here and put it on the whitest thing in the frame, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. See, that's way too warm, that's not accurate, so we're just going to pull it back down to where it was, and we're going to mitigate those blues by boosting the luminance and pulling the saturation of the blues, and I think that looks a lot better already. I love this moment as well, and we're going to go Vanessa on this one, and it's giving us a nice look already. We're going to pull the blues down just a little bit. Let's get some shadows in there. And I'm also going to get rid of this light foreground to kind of pull us into the image a bit more by using a linear gradient tool. We're going to pull it up just like that and then drop that exposure down a bit. And I think that helps us a lot already. I'm going to add one more just in case and see what we can do with that. Let's go up this way a bit and then bring that down. Here we go. I like that a lot. Let's see a before and after. I really like the dramatic lighting here. I just put them in some really great light and had them lift their chins up just a little bit so we could get that light laying on their face really nice. And we're gonna go to Modo here and check this one out. We're gonna pull the highlights down a little bit because you can see we're losing some skin here. And her skin's a little saturated for me. So we're gonna go into the point color tool and we're gonna grab this orange. And we're just gonna pull it down a little bit. I think that's looking really good. I like this a lot, and I will crop just a little bit to straighten that up, and I think that looks pretty solid, honestly. Alright, so we're going to go into the next image, and I'm just going to click over and then click previous, and that's going to give us the exact same edit from the last photo, and we're going to push the exposure, pull the contrast down just a little bit, because it is a little too contrasty and a little saturation. My bag is not this color. It's obviously a lot more green. Brevity makes killer bags. There's a link below if you want to check them out. And we're going to grab the point color here and give it some more green. Just like that. And that looks a lot more realistic. And we're going to pull saturation down ever so slightly and cool it down a little bit. And I think that looks great. Lovely. I like this image a lot. I like all these a lot, honestly, because this meant so much to me to be a part of this. This guy actually found me through YouTube from one of my Leica Q videos, so I photographed this whole thing on a Leica SL, and the presets work really great for all cameras, but that's just what I was using in this particular shoot. So we're gonna go with Vanessa again. As you can see, super dark. Just remember that you have to edit. You can't just throw one on there and expect it to work. So knowing these little details really is helpful in my opinion. So I just like this frame a lot. And honestly, just from those few tweaks with the exposure, a little contrast, this turned out really nice. And for our last image, this is just a really cool sub-framed building picture of the Empire State Building. And I like this photo a lot. And I think I want to go black and white because that's an easy one to do, and honestly that already looks good. I love the grain that I put into this preset. It's really interesting, and it makes for a very film-esque look, which I love. And I'm just gonna push the shadows and exposure so we can keep this, and then I'm gonna go in here and see if we can get a subject here, because we may be able to, may not, I don't know. See, that's not right. So what I'm gonna do instead is get a little brush out and brush this up really quick and bring some of these colors or highlights down. Just like that, and maybe a little more contrast. And that looks great to me. By the way, after every photo shoot, I like to put all of my photos onto Pixieset. It's a great gallery hosting software. You can move things around, change your cover, and it's really, really awesome. These photos are the ones that I've been editing throughout this video, and it's just really nice to be able to change all of the aspects and the accents, and there's just so many ways to do things, and it's just really nice. And then obviously you have your final product here, and you can go through and check out all the images. And it is great because you can actually purchase the photos straight from the site that I send out, and it's a really good way to make passive income through your client gallery. So this is a very important tool for me to have. I have 1,000 galleries, probably more now, and it's love Pixieset. So I highly recommend this. You can also create websites and use their studio manager, which is great for sending out contracts and keeping track of all of your taxes and everything through their software. So shout out to Pixieset for making a great program. So if you want to help support this channel, hop over and grab some of these presets with the promo code Christmas for $10 off of each preset pack. I have the Utah preset pack, the Asheville preset pack, and the Fujifilm preset pack. They all work for all cameras. Fujifilm is just kind of tweaked a little bit more for their sensors, depending on which one. So just remember, once you get them, there is going to be some tweaking involved no matter which preset you get. And that's just how it works. Also, hop over to Instagram, catch me over there, because I have a ton of content that comes out almost daily. And yeah, you can follow my photos and see what I'm doing with my life. Until next time, peace.